Hey folks, good morning. Let me start this off. All right, so we've been doing this daily, weekly Facebook Live now for a couple weeks. Daily at 11 a.m. MST for, a couple weeks, and we've had a lot of fun, I think. I say we because while it's just me blabbing, I've had a couple guests on. Rainbow Mars, the yoga teacher, just surprised us at Elephant HQ, our office, and you can see that video. All these videos are going both on this Facebook page and on youtube.com/elephantjournal. And I promise after talking for 5 seconds right now, it'll get more interesting because we have to wait for a few minutes. So if you're here, just like or say good morning to each other or something friendly. I've been told that I often am saying too much stuff that people want to hear in the first couple minutes, and that people, it takes a couple minutes for people to get here. So I'm very good at saying unimportant stuff that nobody would mind missing. So I'm doing that right now and drinking some organic black coffee. All right. Yeah, just say good morning and then I'll know people are here. So I just wanted to keep today really short. We offer a 2-minute meditation instruction, and you can do this meditation when you first wake up and right before you go to bed every day, and then it can help you be a little more clear, a little more vivid, or the world seems more vivid, not because the world changes, but simply we can be more awake to the world that we've been gifted with, like when we were children and everything, we were so present with every detail of our world. So it's a fantastic thing to do on the daily. And then I wanted to talk about something kind of obvious, that's all the violence that's been in the news lately. And I just wanted to offer 3 things that I've personally found helpful. And I want to say that these are not things that I find helpful in that they make me stop being concerned so that I can ignore this stuff again. I don't think it's mindful for us to ignore all the pain and the very real civil rights and equal rights issues that are going on. So, good morning, sunshine, to everybody. Hope that wasn't too loud if you had headphones in. And I think we're going to rock and roll. So, let's begin with a bow. So, take a great posture. It's always a nice way to come back into the present moment. Take a nice deep breath into the top of your lungs where you probably haven't breathed for a few days, unless you're a runner or a yoga-er or meditator. And then try and look at each other in a sense. Think of everyone everywhere who's trying to live a good life for the benefit of others, and offer them and yourself a bow. All right, let's start. So, first of all, I want to talk about the violence that's been going on. It's been endless. Obviously, Orlando, and then several shootings of African Americans by police, and then shootings of police in Dallas by a sort of somewhat crazy person, but who is nevertheless inspired or unnerved by the violence. So, as we know from the Bible, as we know from Buddhism, as we know from just common sense, violence begets violence and aggression begets aggression. Last night I was watching this fascinating debate. It's on YouTube, which is quite a treasure, if you use it mindfully. A debate, 50 years ago or something, between Martin Luther King and Malcolm X on the virtues of nonviolence, or the lack of virtues of nonviolence as a response to injustice. And Martin Luther King Jr., it was a really fascinating discussion because Martin Luther King Jr. was incredibly grounded and deeply feeling in just how his voice and his presence and the speed with which he spoke, or the lack of speed. He was just incredibly kind. And Malcolm X, while incredibly eloquent and sharp, was, it just felt very different. And Malcolm X's line of attack, which I think was fair at the time, was that Martin Luther King, on some level, was an Uncle Tom, that nonviolence just allowed injustice to continue. And Martin Luther King, made the very profound yet very simple point that nonviolence is not wishing for peace. Nonviolence is not the same thing as being passive. So we all need to pay attention. We all need to be active. We all need to try to help, or at least offer to help, or at least care. This is an American issue. This is an international issue, and I think from a positive point of view, as I was noting the other day with some friends, there's a very small silver lining here, which is that video technology is beginning to expose what has always been going on, and probably always been going on even more than now. So as long as everyone has a camera, everyone has a phone who's walking around, or every other person, these things are going to continue to be exposed, whether it's on Facebook Live like here, or on someone's cell phone camera. Facebook Live and Periscope and such are incredibly powerful because they can't be confiscated if they're broadcast live. And President Obama has been pushing for funding for cameras on police officers, although I think there's all kinds of issues with surveillance and with the video being safe from editing. I think I also want to thank personally President Obama. I think has been both forcefully eloquent about the injustice that's going on and the pain on both sides, although hopefully there are no sides in terms of police officers and citizens, and particularly African American citizens, obviously right now. But that we can come together on this. That the silver lining here is the hundreds and thousands of non-incidents that happen all over the planet every second, of kindness, of peace. I mean, the other day, just thinking about this news, I was cutting some fruit, and I was thinking, wow, there's like millions and millions of knives all over America alone, and none of them, or almost none of them, are being used for violence. So we have to remember that black, white, rich, poor, young, old, we all want happiness, and we have to realize that our happiness is indivisible, that my happiness affects yours, and if I take or try to take happiness, it lessens my own happiness, and it lessens others' happiness. So a lot of this might sound trite. I mean, I'm a white boy in Boulder, Colorado, but this is just to say that I care, and that I'm sure you care, and that we all care in this nation. Hopefully we're just going to continue to expose injustice. And, I'm half Jewish. My last name is fake. I'm not saying it's even close to the same, but my grandparents couldn't even do business in New York City under their name only a couple generations ago, and it defined their life. So we've seen progress in terms of gay rights. Bernie Sanders' campaign, whether you supported him or not, I think gave us a lot of hope that the class divide that is widening and widening will be addressed, and that there are politicians who care. So, and finally, from someone who isn't a white boy in Boulder, I wanted to just read a paragraph of this. I posted up this Facebook status by Natasha Howell on Elephant Journal, and you can read it. You can search "a black woman," quote, "a black woman posted this Facebook status today," elephantjournal.com, if you want to read it. Or we can put it in comments. Travis, I think, is handling the comments today. So she said, she's an African-American lady. She said, "So this morning I went into a convenience store to get a protein bar. As I walked through the door, I noticed that there were two white police officers, one about my age, the other several years older, talking to the clerk, an older white woman behind the counter, about the shootings that have gone on in the past few days. They all looked at me and fell silent. I went about my business to get what I was looking for. As I turned back up the aisle to go pay, the oldest officer was standing at the top of the aisle watching me. As I got closer, he asked me, how how I was doing. I replied, "Okay, and you?" He looked at me with a strange look and asked me, "How are you really doing?" I looked at him and said, "I'm tired." His reply was, "Me too." Then he said, "I guess it's not easy being either of us right now, is it?" I said, "No, it's not." Then he hugged me and I cried. I had never seen that man before in my life. I have no idea why he was moved to talk to me. What I do know is that he and I shared a moment this morning that was absolutely beautiful. No judgments, no justifications, just two people sharing a moment. So, it's pretty moving stuff, and that is on Elephant. So, if you want to share it or read it. And, every time you share or read Elephant, obviously we're independent media, we're not corporate owned, and that takes a lot of, it takes a lot of energy to keep something like Elephant going. When we're not really, it's like swimming upstream. We don't have a budget, to pay for Facebook ads or whatever. So if every time you read or share Elephant, you keep independent media going, and we try and pay our best consistent writers. And if you want to write, elephantjournal.com/submit. So I see our role in times like these is not to get clicks, particularly not to, though again, reading Elephant does support our work and our editors and our writers, and you should feel pride in reading independent media. But our role is not to kind of feed off of anger or feed off of news in the way that politicians or mainstream media might. I think some mainstream media has done a very responsible job of reporting on this, but a lot of it is just kind of spinning cycles of hate that then inspires further violence. So please, if nothing else comes out of this, realize that video is hopefully exposing more and more, supporting independent, mindful media that isn't trying to feed off of people's pain and increase hatred is in itself an act of nonviolence, nonviolent activism, as Martin Luther King Jr. was saying. And then I guess that was the third thing, is I just really encourage you to go to YouTube and watch a couple speeches by Martin Luther King. The hatred and the institutionalized prejudice and the obstacles that he and all Americans, but particularly, of course, all Americans who love equality and peace, but particularly African Americans and our gay brothers and sisters, really any kind of minority, were facing just a couple generations back. If nothing else, it'll impress you how far we have come, and give you new motivation to understand that we can go. We have a lot farther to go, and we can go farther, and because we've already done it. All right, so that's the best I can do. I'm just trying to share what I've found personally helpful, and obviously I'm no expert at being human or talking about politics, but I care, and I'm sure all of you do. All right, so this appears to be by far our most popular video so far. Who would think? All right, I'll read your comments. If you have comments, observations, questions, as long as they're mindful and peace-loving, I will read and respond to them right now. And then we can do meditation and have a great week that can help be of benefit to everyone. So good morning to everybody who wished everyone good morning. Someone's from Budapest. Hello. All right. Probably you're seeing a lot of angry faces. I hope, if you're referring to the little emoticon likes, because people are upset by this news. But that is a good point. Anger really does. Allen Ginsberg, who is one of the great activists, poets, said aggression begets aggression. So we need to find a way. Martin Luther King, again, discussed so eloquently that darkness cannot rid this world of darkness. And that video you can watch on YouTube. I really encourage it. We have a lot on Martin Luther King and on equality and on these recent tragedies on elephantjournal.com if you feel like searching. All right. From Michael Logue, Witness trains and supports activists and citizens around the world to use video safely, ethically, and effectively to expose human rights abuse and fight for human rights change. Michael Logue, maybe you can leave a link to Witness. It would be fun to learn more. Or if you even better want to write about it, elephantjournal.com/submit, then we can share it to thousands and thousands of people, not just the 10 or 20,000 people who will see this. All right. Jillian, this is the change we needed, but the old system needs to be eradicated. It won't go out without a fight, but we can do it. Yeah, I agree with that. And I see your Ohm symbol as your avatar, your logo. I think eradicated is a somewhat violent word. Just as with our own habitual patterns, we all have unhealthy habitual patterns. We have to, through loving kindness, through Maitri, which is the blog I seem to mention the most, if you could leave it in comments, we have to, instead of trying to get rid of the parts of ourselves we hate, or as a nation get rid of the parts of ourselves we hate, we have to work with them, heal them, and then we can move forward. We can't just kind of hate the old, because again, hate will just engender further kind of defensiveness and fixed-mindedness. Alrighty. Yeah, I mean, so Phil, yeah, there's news can't focus on anything, and that's always the case. But yeah, it's great that you're sharing that. I would just encourage you to use language that isn't angry, because you can be angry about something as you are, or Martin Luther King Jr. was, or Malcolm X were, without sort of encouraging further discord. But it is important that we, you're just using a lot of kind of unkind words like butthurt, etc. You could literally rephrase everything you just said, and more people would be able to hear you. That would be my advice. Andrea, good buddy. Mohammed, thank you. Deborah, God bless you. Hello to everybody. Rhonda, amen. I don't know what you're referring to on the opinion is not truth, but for sure, opinion is just opinion. Amanda, yeah, everyone matters. And I think, I did a lot of reading on Black Lives Matter the last couple days, and I think a really profound point from someone who's been involved in the movement is that it's not black. So when you say Black Lives Matter, a lot of people say, well, everyone's lives matter. And while that is true, the point here is to rectify some institutionalized and ongoing injustice. So the analogy that was given to me that I found really helpful was that if you're sitting at a dinner table, here's how to understand Black Lives Matter. So you'll never say in response, well, yeah, everyone's lives matter. Again, even though it's true. So you're at a dinner table and everyone passes around food except one person doesn't get any food. And that person says, I deserve to get some food, or I would like some food. I'm hungry. And hey, Melina. And then in response, the father or whomever says, well, everyone deserves to get food. And while that's true, of course, everyone does deserve to get food in this analogy at dinner, that isn't answering what's going on, which is that one person didn't get food. So you're both kind of making a larger point, but also not answering the question or rectifying the injustice. So a proper response would be to say, oh, I'm sorry, here's dinner. So the notion is simply that Black lives matter too. And that was the point, that there's a sort of silent too as well also. So it's not saying blacks matter and whites don't matter. It's saying all lives matter. Black lives have, statistically, as you can read, if you read as best you can find unbiased news sources, is very clear in the stats that You know, if I'm pulled over looking like Beaver Cleaver for driving erratically or having a tail light out, especially in a safe neighborhood, statistically, I'm going to be all right. And by the same token, a lot of African Americans and other minorities don't feel as comfortable as I might. All right, Jason, what do you feel the average mindful citizen can do within their community to advocate for responsible social video use to spread peace and compassion? I mean, I think it's organically happening so far. Is as long as you're not violating someone's privacy, as drones can. There's drones. You know, I live near a college, and drones are flying all over. That's not really helping anything. That's just sort of increased mass surveillance. But if you see a tragedy going on, or if a tragedy happens to you, even if you're just hit on your bicycle by a car, the first thing you got to do is just habitually just go turn on your video, or even better, some live streaming thing, because that can't ever be confiscated or lost. But Jason, you had a very eloquent question, so if you have more thoughts on that, I'd love to hear more. Val, I was just watching. I'm very prepared for that comment. I was just watching his video on riots. He made a very fair point, which is that he understands them, and he didn't feel like. I don't think he feels like they're ideal, MLK riots or any kind of violence in reaction to injustice. But yeah, it's worth watching. I think you should watch his words. Try and watch the full video. A lot of them on YouTube are coming from someone who has a particular point of view and edited out a lot of it. All right. Yes, what Norma said. Agree. A couple people are saying no sound. Are we okay? We must be okay. There's hundreds and hundreds of people watching. All right. Yeah, riots are the voice of the oppressed. Yeah, but you got... No. He encouraged anger. Anger is... Whoa. Anger is a catalyst. There's a lot there. All right. So you got to watch MLK's entire speech. Don't soundbite Martin Luther King Jr. to fit, my or your or anyone's preconceived point of view. If you study Martin Luther King Jr. or Gandhi or Thoreau, any of these people who talk about nonviolence, you can always take quotes out of context. That's not helpful. That said, I wrote an article, Travis, you could leave in comments about how, I think it's titled Buddhism is Kick-Ass. And it's, while seemingly on a separate subject, it's about how aggression, if harnessed to kindness, to the present moment, to years and years and years of meditation practice, that kind of thing, can be mindful, can be helpful. Anger in reaction to anger is almost never helpful. I think we've seen that again and again, whether it's after 9/11 or what. Xander's an amazing guy and barista and cheerful fellow in Boulder. He grew up in Philadelphia, 5 minutes from the two most violent cities in America, Chester and Camden. Half of my high school was black, and I never saw a difference between black and white my entire life until this type of news started spewing. Race relations have been pushed back 50 years because of Obama and this kind of stuff, and I swear this is only making it worse. I'm not sure, maybe you could say more about how you blame Obama for pushing race relations 50 years back, Xander. But I think, honestly, the news has a huge role in magnifying this. There's tragedies, admittedly, day after day, but there's also incredible progress and good work, good moments all over the country and all over the world every moment that aren't being shared on news. And it's not just the news's fault, it's our fault because we don't read it. We don't read the good stuff. But to go back to the first part of what you're saying, that's beautiful, and I agree with that. I was lucky enough to grow up with a gay friend, and I never saw, the LGBTQ community as other or as weird or as bad or as scary because of that, because of one guy who I got to grow up with, Brian. And same, my best friend in high school, Jigme, was African American, and, when you grow up around it, you don't even really see the differences. You just see the human. All right. So, Xander, my only advice was, would be to that, you know, it may feel worse, but again, a couple generations back, it was worse. And, you know, on some level, awareness of all the horrible, admittedly horrible things that are happening, while it makes it feel like things are going backward, awareness is actually a positive. It's like, I mean, here's a clumsy analogy, but when people first start meditating, they think they're crazier. You're not suddenly crazier because you've been meditating. You're seeing all the crazy that you've just, or not even crazy, just all the random kind of stuff that you've pushed into the closets, right? And you're opening up the closets and clearing them out. Yeah, Brexit, Tracy. Yeah, exactly. It is sad, and unity is being lost, but it can come back. Yeah, the food analogy really helped me out, Amanda. You bet. Thank you. Jennifer. Yeah, it's like saying save the rainforest. That doesn't mean that you're saying other forests don't matter. Which is sort of like, yeah, Bill. Bess. All right. Lots of loving, positive comments, which I should be mentioning. I'm a hypocrite. So thank you. Anger is not the promotion of hatred and does not always initiate violence. It is healing to get angry, especially with the presence of others. Please don't judge black people and other marginalized people for getting angry, for rioting, for self-defense. Oh, I don't think I'm judging anybody, particularly marginalized people, for being angry. And I think Malcolm X played an incredibly powerful role in being a foil and pushing the man, white America, toward grudgingly, with the help of, you know, some people in politics, grudgingly, you know, the Civil Rights Act of '57, and then in the '60s again with LBJ, grudgingly, and JFK, you know, getting the nation to grudgingly grow up and stop institutionalizing racism, which is obviously still happening. But generation after generation, as long as we can expose it with kindness and with a fierce kindness, you know, a strong, fierce kindness, I think things will continue to open up. I mean, prejudice, the kind of sexual harassment we're reading about with Roger Ailes of Fox News or Bill Cosby, you know, these kinds of evil, cruel actions flourish in the darkness. And when we can expose them, then we have a chance to improve the kindness in this society. Carson, I have PTSD and find myself holding my breath and needing yoga breathing to calm myself from all this hateful craziness. Also, the post about welfare fraud and people who assume normal-looking people don't have issues. To be disabled requires missing a limb. I may appear healthy, yet fibromyalgia, a brain trauma, and PTSD are not visible. Unless the PTSD is active, then I see a tunnel and will run you over to get out of wherever. I never watch the news and limit my consumption of the rich news. It's all bought and paid for anyhow. Right. So, well, your final point is that it's not all bought and paid for. Something like 90% of it is. If you read independent local news or independent, hopefully mindful, peace focused national news, hopefully like Elephant, you know, we address real issues. We don't avoid the news, but at the same time, we don't try and get off on people's hatred, like some politicians won't be named. And yes, PTSD is a very real thing, whether we, the observer, can see it or not. So maybe everyone can like your comment, give you a little mental support and love, and we have great articles on PTSD on Elephant Journal, but I'm sure you have fantastic resources. Just make sure to communicate and reach out, and community, meditation, breathing can really help. So we'll get to meditation in a minute. Andrea, can you speak on the wisdom of listening and hearing? The Facebook internet reality encourages a lot of people to talk, but it's hard to gauge what listening looks like in our world today. I would say that when people feel heard, they soften and open. How do we know that the world hears us? How does our responsibility and dialogue affect the potential of peaceful exchange? Well, as many people who are active in Black Lives Matter were saying before Dallas, there was a certain hope to that time just a couple days ago, before the shootings of the police officers, and that the nation was finally paying attention and finally captivated and finally forced to acknowledge what's been going on for generations. So I think, people reading and mainstream news starting to cover this stuff means they see that people are listening finally, that they can't turn a blind eye. But I think you're really right, and that is I think your question is the answer, which is in relationships between human beings, or in person around town, dating someone, married to someone, a parent, a teacher like yourself. I think listening and actually really hearing is one of the most powerful and kind of underrated things that we can, mindfulness things that we can practice. I need more coffee, but it's an intense subject today. I think this whole nation needs to give itself a hug. But by the nature of listening, listening or hearing gets a lot less attention than talking. So you can ignore, like the prior fellow said, ignore some of that mainstream news, Carson said, and try and focus on those who are offering genuine listening, genuine hearing, and genuine peaceful activism. All right. Tons of comments. Wow. Andrea, I love your comment. I really wish you would copy paste that and expand upon it and send that into elephantjournal.com/submit and say Waylon in notes asked for this. That's beautiful. Everyone could give her a like if you feel so inspired. Demi, yeah, boycotts. I'm not sure what your point is, but they can be an incredibly effective, you hit someone in their wallet and they start paying attention real fast. Yeah, Kyra, I mean, this kind of BS is going to continue. And the fact is that if these things happen and continue to happen, eventually, the very few, hopefully, police officers who are not interested in protecting, serving, or justice will be exposed. It's completely legal to record an altercation. And perhaps those who know more about the laws around that can say more. But if you see injustice happening, video it. And if it is illegal, that may be one of those laws we need to break, a la civil disobedience. Yeah, Teresa, I'm being faced with friends and family telling me they're staying out of it because they want peace. Yeah, exactly. So that's, I think, what Martin Luther King Jr. was trying to say, and I hope what I was trying to say in the beginning, which is ignoring it will not lead to peace. Ignoring it will not make things better. We have to heal. We have to be activists. We have to be forcefully peaceful. And if we see injustice happening, we have to video it and share it. As you go on to say, but women didn't get the vote with silence. Slavery didn't end with violence. Sometimes we have to be vocal, protecting with love. Vocal, but also listening and hearing. And as Andrea said, speak out with loving force. These are such eye-opening times. As I say in Buddhism, if we try and change the world through aggression, we'll just create further aggression. So if we, however well-intentioned, are activists, but we're coming out of our own hatred, anger, and hurt, that may not benefit the world in the way that we fundamentally wish. So we have to really deal with our own stuff, and that meditation can help that. But then we have to get out there. We can't not, I wish there was a better word than fight, but we can't not fight for love, for light, and not a wimpy love and light like in Crystal Land, like a the love and light that Martin Luther King Jr. was talking about, that can defeat hatred and darkness. All right. Lynn, I'm not sure if I understand the tenor of your comment. But I appreciate your commenting. Thank you, Madison. Thank you, everyone. Lots of kind comments to one another. I mean, if you don't know what to comment right now, why don't we all just say, this is my aspiration fundamentally for my children and my children's children in America or wherever I am. This is what I wish for. And aspirations are not action, but they lead to action. So let's all write down an aspiration, and you know, our collective wishes again are nothing unless we follow through. But I think coming back to peace and love is powerful. Right, here's another great analogy. From Andrea, if I have a broken arm, all bones matter, but my broken arm needs to be the focus right now. That's a great one. Misty, great point, and hopefully that's why you'll follow, you know, mindful people, mindful news sources on whether it's Twitter or Facebook or whatever. We're on Instagram if you want us, and we've been sharing a lot about this. But the main thing is if you are inspired to read Elephant, that's the way that we can then pay writers to keep doing good work for you and pay editors to do good work for you. All right. Oh, Val, thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you. I wasn't clear. All right. I'm reading Demi's comment. All right, there's a lot of comments here. Demi, some well-said stuff here. Thank you. I don't want this video to be people just watching me read your great comments, so I'm going to try to move forward. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, to the very small extent that I've been doing, if you can search out reference points, who has overcome prejudice, who has overcome violence with nonviolence, who has gone before, and read them. And that's the kind of article we try and put up on Elephant. Jeffrey Miller, ACLU has a great article about recording video and audio in public. Yeah, maybe someone could leave that in the comments and share that stuff up. Anna, amen to you. Demi, love to you. It will work out, but only if we keep focused on our peace-loving aspiration and remember that peace is not inaction. Peace is not ignoring. Yeah, how about take a stand for love instead of fighting? Can you, from Brinia Amparo, can you provide some advice how to explain to your children after they've seen public media and also being part of a minority group? I can't, because you know, don't have children, but so first of all, as they say in Buddhism, always trust the principal one. You are the principal one here. You and your community, and by community I don't mean any group, minority group, I mean your friends, your trusted mentors, your family, anyone you can talk to get advice. And you're doing that right now. You're reaching out for advice. So if anyone has advice for Brinia, I'd love to hear that. What I would say hypothetically, if I were the father in that situation, I would say there's a lot of good people who do bad things in this world. Everyone is fundamentally good. Everyone is basically good. Everyone wants to be happy, but then they start doing bad things because they think that they can own happiness or steal happiness from others because they don't have happiness. And then if people do bad stuff to them or to us, a lot of people react by doing bad stuff back, and then the bad gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, like a hot potato going back and forth. So the important thing to do is whenever anyone does something bad to us is to remember that they're fundamentally good, but also to make sure not to throw more bad stuff back at them, because the bad will just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and it'll hurt us and it'll hurt them. and that the media, the newspapers, the websites, the TV, they all exist to make money off of what we care about. So we have to show them that we care about good, mindful, peace-loving things. And more importantly, we need to subscribe to, we need to read, we need to share independent media. If you're reading, subscribing, and sharing to crappy media, you're going to have a somewhat crappy mind, a mind that is kind of has barnacles of crappiness all over it. So, you know, watch what you eat and watch what you consume as a reader. So, Brinia, that's what I would try to say. And Lindsay, I think hopefully there's something in there for you. If Travis, you can mention that to Lindsay. Megan, as a yoga instructor who is white, how can we help facilitate peace and understanding without being hypocritical? I am aware of my privilege and I want to help. I mean, it's a fantastic question. It's a fantastic question for myself as well. I care passionately. I think, you know, I've done a number of videos with African Americans and with gay friends, and the title of one of them with a gay friend of mine who had a viral TED video was "It's okay to ask dumb questions," and I think that's an important point, whether we're black or white or gay or straight or whatever. If we can tolerate, if we can accept, if we can be forgiving when people have dumb questions, or say something awkwardly, or in our mind say something without acknowledging their privilege, or say something without being as mindful or as eloquent as we would wish. Because most people are trying, and if we discourage and yell at them for trying and failing, they may not try again. So just like in school, let's try and encourage dialogue, whether it's clumsy or not. And obviously, it can begin by acknowledging my privilege and your privilege, and but also, you know, white is a sort of blanket term. You know, you've had your ups and downs in life. Your family probably had some hard times. Like I referenced to my Jewish forefathers and foremothers, they went through incredible prejudice, and yet I look like, you know, Mr. Privilege, and on many levels I am. But just to regard people as human beings first, who hopefully care, give them a chance to try and help, like you say. So if anyone has something more eloquent for Megan, I would appreciate it, but that would be what I would try. Corti, beautiful aspiration. I wish that all people could be fed, housed, educated, and have health care. All right, there's so many questions. I think we're going to have to do more tomorrow, but these aspirations are beautiful. I encourage everyone to read your aspirations. Haley, I particularly appreciate your comment. Just, you know, it is human nature to focus on our negative, on anything negative and on our problems, but we also have to appreciate the thousands of moments of kindness and peace that happen between gay and straight, and black and white, and Muslim and Christian and agnostic, atheist, every day. There are people out there who would feed on this hate for their own political or financial or media ends, and I think those are the people we need to stay away from, and those are the voices we need to stay away from, and together, if we can continue to heighten awareness through video, through recording, through nonviolent activism, we can create a more enlightened society. Demi, amen. Yeah, Demi, if you'd like to write an article, anyone who here, if you'd like to write an article, let's conclude today by doing a moment of meditation. I'm going to try and set this down. All right, I guess I'm not going to fail. All right, here comes some selfie meditation, which might sound bad, but it's actually the most direct way to pop your ego. Take the vanity of a selfie and let's meditate through it. All right, so take a good posture, root your sit bones back and forth. This is the most important part of this video. This is the way that we overcome our own aggression, our own neurosis, our own loneliness, our own unhappiness. We overcome it not with power or aggression, but with really with breath and with the present moment. All right, so take a good posture, take a great posture, and then relax. Feel your spine straight up and relax. Breathe in, breathe out. I'll flip this around so you're not distracted by me. There's some prayer flags for you. Okay. Breathe in. Breathe out. When you breathe in a sense, you could be breathing in all the suffering and the anger and the injustice of the world. You can breathe it in. Feel the gap at the end of your breath, and then breathe out. Loving kindness, generosity, compassion to everyone, including the big jerks in this world. If you find yourself thinking, afraid, thinking about lunch, good or bad, happy or sad, whatever your thoughts are, you can label it thinking and return to your breath in and out. Just breathe in, breathe out. If you find yourself thinking about a girl or a boy or a cookie or a war or any of the subjects we've been discussing, you can label that thinking. Oh, I'm thinking. Bring awareness to your mind. Ah, I'm thinking. Return your attention to your breath. Now together, take a great posture, eyes open, relaxed, and offer a bow of respect to one another. Everywhere, all over the world, peaceful people who are imperfect like you and me, who want to help create a better world and a kinder world from the kitchen sink on up. So your homework today is to go do your dishes. If we can clear out our kitchen sink, then we can clear our house, then we can run a kind household, then we can meditate every morning and evening, and then we can be activists today. Hopefully, we don't have time to wait. Peaceful activists or volunteers. You don't have to be an activist, you can be volunteer. Any way you can help, just by being kind to people every day. If you feel awkward being kind, don't worry about it, just try. And you can even say to the people you're trying to help, whether it's at a soup kitchen or whatever, what have you, I'm just trying, let me know if I can do better. And often we can learn, we can find that we are the ones who are being helped when we help others. Alrighty. Debbie, love to you and all of Dallas and everyone wherever you are. Love to you, and try and say where you are in comments. It's really nice to always see where you are in comments. We'll see you tomorrow, 11 a.m. MST. We do this every Monday through Friday. So give it a final like or share if you feel so inspired. Support independent mindful media. That may sound self-serving, but we are really just here for you. We work our butts off just to try and create a little bit of a peaceful resource in times of strife, and not a peace that is avoiding reality, but a peace that is stronger and embraces hate. All right. Thank you so much.